Thank you for that song, Gretchen. That song is called Everyone by Martin Carr, and K-E-R-R, and it's the Human Rights Commission's theme song from Canada. And there's a beautiful, looked it up on the internet, and there's just a beautiful picture of all these wonderful people singing and coming together and playing music. It was wonderful. God is good. So this week is compassion. Is there anyone else that loves compassion as much as I do? Yes. We do. And it was so cool because I just was sitting at my desk, and you know how things just fall off or something happens, and this little slip of kind of raggedy paper about that big fell out of a book. I'm not even sure which one. And I looked at it. It was my writing. And it was something I must have written down that I heard from somebody, but I don't know who. So it's a quote, but I can't tell you who said it. Sorry. But it said, "We are the sum of our choices. Choosing compassion will save humanity." I don't know what's happened, but it's time we start being better to each other. And we can do it starting right now. Right now. We've forgotten some way. We talked last week about this sea of love. We're surrounded in the sea of love and the embrace of Spirit, the loving embrace of Spirit. And we live in there, but we've polluted it. We've polluted it with race-conscious thinking of judgment and prejudice and fear and unhappiness and criticism. And we get it all polluted. And it's not just us. We were born into this race-conscious stuff. But the thing is, we're here now. We can change it. We can uplift it. Because the positive, the goodness, the love, the light always is stronger than the darkness. If you think on turning a light on in a room, what happens to the darkness? It disappears. We can do that. John O'Donohue, that wonderful Irish author and poet, and the one who really brought back Celtic spirituality that we all love, 20th century man, and in his book Beauty, that talks about being embraced by love and compassion and spirituality, he says the ability to care, to open our hearts and care, is the hallmark of humans. It creates our morality, our holiness. And he said, without the warmth of care, the world is a graveyard, becomes a great graveyard. But with the kindness of care, we awaken and inspire and ignite the divine within us. Compassion is not about sympathy or pity in any way. Compassion is all about caring and sharing. It's about understanding and opening ourselves. It's not about, and guys, I don't mean this to you, but I do. It's not about fixing things, okay? It's about hearing a problem and fixing it. It's about caring enough that we understand where someone comes from. It's about compassion, understanding we are all human beings, but we're spiritual beings first, having a human experience. Mistakes, problems, all that are part of the journey. And we're not here to criticize and judge, but to open our hearts and minds to put out a helping hand, to help one another. It's time that you and I start realizing, where am I suffering? I love that quote you wrote by Ram Dass. Where am I not feeling compassion? That's where my work is. Because we're all a work in progress. It won't be all the time we feel compassion. There'll be times we're a very loving community. But I'll tell you, there's times we bug each other. You know, it just happens being human beings. But because love is the most important thing, and caring and coming together, that's what you feel. It's what we feel first. So if we're going to clean up this polluted sea of compassion, we have to break down the barriers that we've built. Compassion is the stuff we're made of. You know, Meister Eckhart said, we can call God love. We can call God goodness. But the best name for God is compassion. And that's because compassion means caring and sharing. And the spirit and energy of infinite intelligence and all this unbelievable, unlimited creative potential. Spirit is always sharing, giving unconditionally to us. It's up to us to accept it. So we need to heal those barriers. So where in your life are you lacking some forgiveness? I told you last week that regret and a lack of forgiveness are the things that keep us the most stuck and do the opposite of what Tammy talked about. They age us very quickly. They age us because we become hardened. Hildegard of Bingen, a beautiful, beautiful saint. She was canonized in, I think, 2012, but she was a wonderful mystic from medieval times. And she said, the hardening of our heart is our biggest sin. Because when we harden our heart, we can't reach out and touch one another. That's our biggest sin. Of all the things we've done, when we harden ourselves because we want to keep ourselves safe or protected or whatever it is, it's dangerous not only for us, but for everyone. We need to learn to open those hearts. So where are you holding on to something someone did to you a long time ago, a grievance? I can remember a point in my life when I kept hearing myself tell the same story over and over again about a person that I didn't like that happened to be in my family. And I kept telling the story because that was my whole, oh my God, this is long, way, way long ago, okay? But anyway, I would hear myself saying, oh, that is so boring. Why do you keep saying it? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody that you're talking to. And when I let go of that, my whole world changed. It wasn't someone else's fault that I was holding on to the grievance. It was my fault that I wasn't letting it go. So we have to be forgiving, to let go of our grievances. And the last thing, we have to choose love over fear. You know, there's a story of a little girl who came home from school, and she saw her granddad, and she had tears coming down her face. And her granddad asked, what's the problem? And she said, the kids at school were mocking me. And you could just feel she felt alone and unloved. And her grandfather said, put out your hand. And he reached down and picked up a pebble. And he put the pebble in her hand. And he said, that pebble is your pain. And when you keep your hand open, you can hold the pain and the joy of today. When we have our hand open, we can hold pain and joy. We can hold grief and gratitude. We can hold love and anger at the same time. And then he said, but if you close your hand and hold that pain in a fist, that becomes all you think about. It becomes what you know. But when it's open, you can hold the pain and still reach for the love, still reach for the goodness, still reach for the possibilities. So think about, where are we holding on that we're making our pain the primary thing in our life, instead of opening up and realizing there's something so much more that wants to be felt and realized and owned. It's up to us. We can do it. You know, I had a poem, and I have said it for 20 years. And so I finally took it out again because it fits this moment perfectly, this compassion. And I said, I want a contemporized version. So I asked my daughter if she'd ask AI and get a contemporized version of this poem that's older. And she did, and so I have it in my notes right here, and I didn't like it. And I said, Kirk, would you run the original off this morning? Because my printer's not working, so he did. So I'm going to read the original. And this is The Cold Within. The new one says, the warmth we share. Isn't that sweeter and nicer? But I'm going to read the first one anyway. It says, the cold within. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the stories told. Their dying fire in need of logs. The first man held his back. For the faces round the fire, he noticed one was black. The next man, looking across the way, saw one not of his church, and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from sight, for all he saw in a stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. The last man of this forlorn group did not accept for gain. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. Their logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. They didn't die from cold without. They died from cold within. I know, I'm sorry. I have a nicer one here, but I chose not to read it. Compassion is that open palm. It's the open palm who shares with joy and love. It does not clutch, but it holds the space for everything. It's interesting because Joseph Campbell, who I talk about, I quote him almost every week because I've got my little pages tagged in his little book, the Joseph Campbell Companion. Page 17 and 24 are my two favorites. But he said that all his travels to all the cultures around the world, all the peoples, everywhere he went, he's known for his hero's journey, but he said, everything is just a variation on the one great story. Everything. We're all living a similar life with the similar feelings, not the same problems, but similar, problems. It's all variations on one great story. How good it is to be alive. What a blessing it is. It's a gift to be here. Whatever stage we're in, it's a gift. And he goes on to say, the purpose of our journey is compassion. What we really are living for is the experience of life, both the pain and the pleasure. When you have come past the pair of opposites, you have reached compassion. The goal of our life and our gift to the world is to join two things together. And that's what the title of today is, Compassion, the bridge between two souls. Our soul knows compassion. It's the barriers we've built against it that we can remove that keep us from feeling that. But when we feel true compassion, others can feel it too, just like what you read, Madeline. It was so perfect that you can feel when you want to be around someone's presence because they're holding a space of caring and sharing and love and compassion. It's about the interdependence of life. Independent, yes, we can be independent and self-sufficient, and that's beautiful. But the truth of us is we are interdependent beings, and we are here for each other. And that's important for us to remember. What Jesus said, do it to the least, and you do it to me. So our lack of compassion, our lack of forgiveness, our holding on with a hardened heart doesn't just affect one person. It affects the whole consciousness in the world. Meister Eckhart says, what happens to another, whether it be a joy or a sorrow, happened to me. There was a man, and he was standing right there. He wanted to talk to God. His heart was breaking because of the pain of injustice he felt in his life and he could see happening in the world. And he said, dear God, do you see what's happening here in this world? Do you feel the distress, the anguish, the upset? Do you feel it? Why haven't you sent someone to help? And God looked down and said, I did. I sent you. I sent you. That's our job. That's what we're here to do. Open our hands, open our hearts. Remember the song? Thank you, Gretchen. Open our hands, open our hearts. We're here to do that work and care for one another. I want you to think right now in your life, where is it in this moment that you could open up to greater compassion and understanding? I suggested it. I saw it when I walked in the door. I saw somebody shared with me, boy, how a little compassion would have been so helpful and help someone's heart. We all carry struggles with us. There's not a person here because it's part of our human experience that doesn't have struggle and trouble. Different degrees at different times. But we have to remember that. We don't know what someone's going through. We don't know at any time. But a kind word, no matter what, is always, always helpful. Rumi, my buddy Rumi, I love Rumi. He's always so cute because true compassion is active. Compassion can't just be the feeling of compassion. Oh, I feel that person's pain. Okay, that's a good start, but it's not enough. True compassion has to be action. And Rumi said, be a lamp, be a lifeboat, or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. You are here to do some good. And I guarantee you, whatever your problems, your unhappiness, your difficulty is, you'll feel better because you can't help someone else without helping yourself. Matthew Fox has a book called Spirituality named Compassion, and he says compassion is doing the work. It's not just about feeling it, you have to put that feeling into action. And he said, feeding, sheltering, caring, giving someone to drink, praying, counseling, whatever you can do, right at that moment is enough. We have to start doing it. It's for us to do. So we're going to start right now with our healing wall. And I'm going to ask you to please think of what it is that you're holding on to. What barrier you have in this moment that could be softened, to soften your heart, to open your mind, that you'll be clearer and walk out here in a new and changed way. Because I guarantee you, when compassion becomes our language and our action, our life changes. As our healers finish their work, I'd like all of us to just simply feel what it would be like to have compassion as a way of life, to allow our hands to be the hands of God, to allow our eyes to be the eyes of God, and our mind and heart to be that knowing that right where we are is the presence of the divine moving and flowing through us, that we can bring things together in a beautiful way. We make people feel good and know they're loved and cared for. And of course, as we become that, our whole life changes in a way of more acceptance, more peace, more joy, and more happiness. I wish that on each and every person here. And I know how much you are loved. And together we can make a change. And so it is.